Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into the world of project management. It's that incredible skill that takes a big, ambitious idea and actually makes it real. But what happens when it all goes wrong? Well, the fallout can be massive. And honestly, getting it right has never, ever been more important.
Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start by looking at a pretty shocking multi-trillion-dollar problem. Then we'll nail down what a project even is. After that, we'll get into the constant juggling act called the triple constraint, check out a framework for getting things done, and finally, we'll talk about the person who makes it all happen, the modern project manager.
All right, let's dive right in. And to kick things off, we need to talk about a problem that is happening on a global scale. We're talking trillions of dollars at stake, which means the pressure to manage projects it's huge. I mean, you've seen this happen, right? That super promising new app that just vanished, the big construction project downtown that's been delayed for years, or that massive software upgrade at work that just fizzled out. It happens all the time, and it's so frustrating. So what is going on?
Just take a second and let this number really sink in. $97 million. According to the Project Management Institute, that's how much money is just wasted for every single $1 billion we invest in projects. That's not some small rounding error. That's almost 10% of all the money invested, just gone, all because of poor project performance.
And believe me, this is not a new problem. If you go way back to 1995, studies were already showing that nearly a third of all IT projects were just canceled before they were even finished. Now fast forward to today, and the numbers are still not great. Over half of all projects fail. And maybe the most shocking stat of all, a tiny 2.5% of companies consistently hit all their original goals.
But here's the flip side. Where there's a huge challenge, there's always a huge opportunity. All this struggle has created a massive demand for people who know how to get projects done right. By 2027, companies are going to need almost 88 million people in project management roles. And it's a seriously rewarding career path with an average salary in the US of around $112,000. All of this is happening inside a global IT market that spends trillions of dollars.
So, we've talked about the problem, we've talked about the opportunity. But before we get into the solution, we've got to be super clear on what we're even talking about. So, what is a project really? Okay, the official definition here from the Project Management Body of Knowledge Guide has two really important keywords you got to remember: temporary and unique. A project isn't just everyday work. It has a definite beginning and a definite end. And the whole point is to create something brand new, something that didn't exist before. And that's a really critical distinction to make. See, operations are the things that keep a business running day to day. Think about the accounting department or the customer service team. It's repetitive, ongoing work. Projects, on the other hand, are the things that change the business. They're about developing that new app or opening a new store. And as soon as that unique goal is hit, the project is done. So when you boil it down, every single project, doesn't matter if it's a simple student app or a massive merger between two global banks, shares these key features. It's got a unique goal, and it's temporary. It's built using something called progressive elaboration, which is just a fancy way of saying the details get clearer as you go. And of course, every project needs resources and needs a sponsor footing the bill, and it always comes with some level of uncertainty. Okay, so we know what a project is. Now let's talk about the one fundamental challenge that pretty much every project manager deals with every single day. It's this constant, delicate balancing act. And here it is. This is the famous triple constraint. The easiest way to think about it is like a triangle, with pressure coming from three different sides: scope, time, and cost. Scope is what you're supposed to deliver. Time is how long you've got, and cost is your budget. A successful project is one that hits that sweet spot right in the middle, delivering exactly what you promised, on time, and on budget. That's how you make your project sponsor happy. And here's the kicker. You can't touch one of these without affecting the other two. They're all tied together. Let's say your client suddenly wants to add a bunch of new features. That's an increase in scope. Well, that's going to take more time, or it's going to cost more money. There's no way around it. If the deadline gets moved up, you'll probably have to cut some features or get more money to hire more people. This trade-off is right at the very heart of managing a project. So how in the world do you manage that constant juggling act and make sure you don't end up as just another failed project statistic? Well, you definitely don't just wing it. You use a structured framework that helps you bring some order to all that chaos. So here's the big picture.
A good project management framework pulls everything together into one cohesive system. You start with what your stakeholders need. You apply 10 core areas of knowledge, you use specific tools and techniques, and you tie it all together to drive that project to success. And when your project succeeds, the whole company benefits.
And it really all starts with the people. We call them stakeholders, and that's basically anyone who is involved in or affected by your project. So yeah, that's the sponsor, the project team, and the customers, that's obvious, but it's also your suppliers, your support staff, and get this, even opponents of the project. Like a community group that might protest what you're building. A huge part of the job is managing all of their different needs and expectations. And to manage all of that, you need skills across these 10 key knowledge areas. You'll probably recognize some of them. Scope, schedule, and cost from the triple constraint are right there, but it goes way deeper, covering everything from managing risk and quality to communications and resources, and then tying it all together with something called integration management. And you're not expected to do all of this on your own. Project managers have a whole toolbox of techniques they can use. Here are just a few of what we call super tools, the ones that are proven to have a really high success rate. We're talking about things like scheduling software to manage your timeline, super clear scope statements to define exactly what you are and aren't doing, and lessons learned reports so you make sure you don't make the same mistakes on the next project. So we have the framework, we have the stakeholders, we have the tools, but who's the person right in the middle of this whole thing making it all work? Well, that's where the modern project manager comes in. The official definition of project management is actually the best job description you could write for a project manager. Their entire role is to take everything we've just talked about, all that knowledge, all those skills, all those tools, and apply them to the project's activities to make sure it hits its targets and delivers what it promised. And this is a whole profession, not just a job title. The field is guided by a major organization called the Project Management Institute, or PMI. They set the standards and they offer the top certification, the PMP. And just like any other serious profession, it's all built on a strict code of ethics and professional conduct. So let's wrap up with this. The world is absolutely full of amazing ideas just waiting to happen. But an idea is just the starting line. It takes this special mix of structure, skill, and leadership to navigate all the uncertainty and all the constraints to actually deliver something real. So the real question is, could you be the one to lead the way?